The living walls of the research vessel. Whispered dawn glowed with soft blue light that pulsed like a heartbeat. Deep inside the ship, Kirith pressed her slim body against the warm, crystalline surface, trying to make herself invisible. Her skin, normally a calm silver color, now flickered between bright blue and dark purple. Any Velthari could see she was terrified. She closed her large eyes and tried to control her breathing. Her people had 2 hearts, and both of them were beating so fast she thought they might burst. The ship's living network carried messages through touch and thought, and right now, every surface hummed with fear. Emergency. All crew report to stations. The captain's voice whispered directly into her mind through the biolink. Human ship needs help. They want to dock with us. Use Protocol 7. Kirith's eyes snapped open. Humans. The word alone made her skin flash bright purple with terror. She had spent years studying them at the Velthari Science Institute. Every file she read made them sound more frightening. Humans came from a planet so dangerous that most life forms would die there in minutes. They called it Earth, but the rest of the galaxy called it a death world. Everything there tried to kill everything else. The humans who survived that place became something the galaxy had never seen before. They were warriors who never gave up. Pirates and raiders who had terrorized space lanes for centuries would flee at the first sign of human ships. Even the mighty Kethvar Empire, with their massive war fleets, had learned to avoid human space. Kirith had watched the combat videos. Humans fighting in places where the air itself was poison. Humans charging into battle against creatures twice their size. Humans who kept fighting even when they were hurt, even when they should have been dead. The ship shook slightly as something large connected to their docking port. Through the bio-neural network, Kirith felt the fear of her crewmates wash over her like a cold wave. Captain Veltros was trying to stay calm, but even he was afraid. The airlock made harsh mechanical sounds as it opened. Velthari ships grew their doors from living tissue that opened silently, but human technology was all metal and machines. It sounded violent and wrong. Heavy footsteps echoed through the corridors. Kirith had never heard anything like them. Velthari feet were soft and made no sound when they walked. These steps were hard and loud, like the footsteps of giants wearing metal boots. Kirith activated her personal hiding field, a gift from her people's natural ability to bend light around themselves. The field shimmered, and she became nearly invisible. She moved deeper into the ship's lower levels, away from the medical bay where the humans were being taken, but she could still feel them through her empathic senses. Waves of emotion hit her like physical blows. There was pain, sharp and immediate. There was determination, hard as metal. And underneath it all, something else she didn't expect. Concern for others, worry about teammates. She crept through the ship's living corridors following the emotional trail. Her scientific training fought with her terror. She had never seen a human before, only pictures and videos. Part of her mind, the part that had made her a xenobiologist, wanted to observe these creatures up close. Through a translucent wall, she saw them enter the medical bay. The first human was huge, bigger than any Velthari. His face was covered by a tactical helmet, but she could see scars on his neck and hands. His armor was painted in dark colors and covered with weapons and equipment. Red blood, human blood, stained the front of his combat suit. He was helping another human walk. The second one was hurt badly, leaning heavily on the first. Behind them came 3 more soldiers, their weapons powered down, but ready to use. They moved with the easy confidence of born killers. Sergeant Hyunwoo, one of them said in their harsh language. Kirith's translator implant worked to convert the words. How bad is Jaemin hurt? The big human, Hyunwoo, spoke back in a voice that was surprisingly gentle. He'll live. The Velthari have good medical equipment, better than ours. Kirith stared at them through the living wall. These were the monsters that made entire star systems tremble with fear. These were the apex predators of the galaxy. They looked exactly as dangerous as she had imagined. The hurt human, Jaemin, was placed on one of the medical beds. The Velthari medical staff worked quickly, but Kirith could feel their fear through the biolink. They were terrified of making a mistake, afraid of what the humans might do if their teammate died. But Hyunwoo just stood back and let them work. He didn't threaten anyone. He didn't demand anything. He just watched with what looked like patience and trust. Kirith pressed closer to the wall, her scientific curiosity growing stronger than her fear. Something about this scene didn't match what she had learned about humans. The files said they were savage and unpredictable, but these humans seemed controlled, disciplined. She settled in to watch, her skin slowly fading from purple to a nervous blue-green. For the first time in her life, she was seeing real humans, and already they were not exactly what she had expected. Kirith found the perfect hiding spot behind a thick wall of living coral that glowed with soft green light. The bioluminescent panel was part of the ship's sensor network, which meant she could see and hear everything happening in the medical bay without being detected. She pressed her face close to the warm surface and watched the humans through the ship's living eyes. Her translator worked quietly in her ear, turning their strange words into something she could understand. Everything she had learned about humans told her they were brutal killers. The intelligence reports said they solved problems with violence. They were supposed to be wild and dangerous, caring only about themselves. But what she saw made no sense. Hyunwoo had taken off his scary helmet and was sitting beside his hurt teammate. His face was not the face of a monster. It was tired and worried, with kind eyes that looked sad. His hands, which should have been weapons of destruction, moved with gentle care as he cleaned Jaemin's wounds. "Stay with me," Hyunwoo said softly. His voice was nothing like the harsh battle cries she had heard in the combat videos. "The pain will stop soon. These people are good doctors. They know how to help you." Jaemin tried to smile through his pain. "I'm okay, Sergeant. Just a little cut." "A little cut that goes through your arm," Hyunwoo said, but he was smiling too. "You humans are all the same. Always saying you're fine when you're bleeding everywhere." "Wait," Hyunwoo had said, "you humans." Kirith's translator must have made a mistake. She adjusted the settings and listened more carefully. No mistake. Hyunwoo was talking about humans like he was not one of them, but he looked human. He sounded human. This was very confusing. One of the Velthari medical staff came over to help. Dr. Yellas was old and experienced, but Kirith could feel his fear through the biolink. His hands shook slightly as he worked. "Thank you," Hyunwoo said to the doctor. "You don't have to be afraid of us, we're just soldiers trying to get home." Dr. Yellas nodded but didn't speak. Kirith could understand why. In all the stories, humans were unpredictable. They might seem calm one moment and become violent the next. But minutes passed, then an hour, and Hyunwoo just sat quietly. He helped hold medical equipment when asked. He moved out of the way when the doctors needed space. He acted like a normal person who was worried about his friend. Then the ship's emergency alarm started ringing. The bio-neural core sent waves of distress through every living surface. Something was wrong with the atmospheric processing center. The system that cleaned their air and made it safe to breathe was breaking down. Captain Veltros arrived in the medical bay with several crew members. Their skin was flashing bright orange, the color of serious worry. "We have a cascade failure in Section 7, the captain announced. "The atmospheric processor is venting toxic gases. If we don't fix it soon, the whole ship could become unlivable." "What do you need?" Hyunwoo asked, standing up immediately. Captain Veltros looked surprised that a human had spoken to him directly. "The repair must be done from inside the damaged section. But the air there is poison to my people. We cannot breathe it even with masks." "I can do it," Hyunwoo said without hesitation. "My suit has its own air supply and chemical filters. I can work in that environment." "You would do this for us?" The captain's skin shifted to confused purple. "Of course. Your ship, your people. My people are here too now. We're all in this together." Kirith watched in amazement as Hyunwoo put his helmet back on and followed the captain toward the damaged section. This was not how the stories said humans behaved. They were supposed to think only of themselves, to care nothing for other species. Her scientific curiosity was stronger than her fear now. She had to see what would happen next. Using her natural stealth abilities, Kirith followed them through the ship's living corridors. The walls here were darker, pulsing with the orange glow of distress. The air tasted of chemical warning signals. She watched Hyunwoo work in the damaged section through a transparent wall. His movements were careful and precise, not wild or violent. He handled the delicate bio-neural components like he understood how important they were. Even in the zero gravity of the damaged area, he moved like he belonged there. His heavy armor should have made him clumsy, but instead he seemed to dance through the floating debris. Then everything went wrong at once. A secondary breach opened in the wall near where Kirith was hiding. The atmosphere rushed out into space with a terrible screaming sound. Emergency barriers tried to form, but the damage was too extensive. Kirith found herself trapped behind a collapsed section of the corridor. Pieces of the ship's living structure had fallen and blocked her escape route. Worse, her personal breathing apparatus had been damaged in the accident. The air was running out. Her vision started to blur as her lungs fought for oxygen that wasn't there. Through her fading consciousness, she felt someone approaching. The same powerful presence that had terrified her before. But now it felt different. It felt like help was coming. Hyunwoo's helmet appeared through a gap in the debris. His face was hidden behind the tactical visor, but his voice was calm and steady. "Easy now," he said as he began pulling away chunks of the collapsed wall with his bare hands. The powered servos in his suit whined with effort, but he didn't stop. "I've got you. Just breathe slowly and save your air." He worked with desperate efficiency, his own oxygen supplies dropping as he shared them with her through an emergency connection. By the time the rescue team arrived, Kirith realized something that changed everything she thought she knew about humans. This monster had risked his own life to save her. A complete stranger from a different species without thinking twice about it. The medical bay felt peaceful now, with soft blue light flowing through the living walls like a gentle river. Kirith lay on the biobed, breathing clean air and feeling her strength return. Her skin had changed from the frightened purple to a calm silver green, showing that she was getting better. Her translator had been fixed during the rescue, and now she could finally talk directly to the human who had saved her life. Hyunwoo sat in a chair beside her bed, and for the first time she could see his face clearly. He was younger than she had thought. Maybe 30 human years, which was still very young for his species. His face had several old scars, one across his left cheek, another on his forehead. But his eyes were kind and gentle, though they held a deep sadness that made her want to understand more about him. "Why did you save me?" she asked. Her voice was still weak, barely more than a whisper that the translation system had to work, hard to carry to him. Hyunwoo smiled, and it made his whole face look different, younger and warmer. "Because you needed help," he said, like it was the most obvious thing in the galaxy. "On my world, we have a word, Jong. It means caring. For others like they are your family, even if you just met them." This confused Kirith. Everything she had learned about humans said they only cared about themselves and their own kind. "But I am not human. I am not your family." "That doesn't matter," Hyunwoo said. "Life is life. Pain is pain. When someone needs help, you help them if you can." Over the next few days, both ships worked on repairs. The damage from the atmospheric breach was serious, and it would take time to fix everything properly. During this time, Kirith found herself talking to Hyunwoo more and more. She learned that he had not always been a soldier. Before joining the Terran Defense Corps, he had been a teacher on a human colony world called New Busan. "I taught children," he told her one afternoon as they sat in the observation lounge. "Little ones, maybe 6 to 10 years old. They called me Seonsang Nim. It means teacher in my language." He showed her holographic pictures from his personal files, images of a world with blue skies that looked impossible to Velthari eyes, plants that were green instead of the purple and silver color she was used to, and children, small humans with bright smiles and curious faces. "Your world looks beautiful," Kirith said, studying the images. "The colors are so different from anything I have seen. Earth colony worlds try to make things look like the home planet," Hyunwoo explained. It helps people feel less lonely when they are far from where they came from. But you left teaching to become a soldier. Why? Hyunwoo's face became sad. Again. He was quiet for a long moment, looking at the stars through the transparent wall of the lounge. I didn't want to be a soldier, he said finally. I loved teaching. I loved watching children learn new things and grow up to be good people. But then the HFY raiders started attacking the outer colonies. Kirith knew about the HFY. They were a species that believed in taking whatever they wanted by force. They attacked peaceful worlds and took resources, slaves, whatever they could use. They hit New Busan 3 times, Hyunwoo continued. The first 2 times we were lucky. Colonial defense drove them off before they could land. But the 3rd time, his voice trailed off and Kirith could feel waves of old pain coming from him through her empathic senses. Children died, he said simply. Some of my students. Good. Kids who just wanted to learn and play and grow up. Someone had to stand between the raiders and the innocent people, so I joined the Defense Corps. Kirith began to understand. Humans were not monsters who loved violence. They were people who became warriors because someone had to protect the weak. This understanding was tested when the proximity alarms, suddenly, started screaming through both ships. Kirith watched Hyunwoo change in that moment. The gentle teacher disappeared, replaced by something else entirely. His eyes became sharp and focused. His body moved with sudden purpose and energy. HFY attack ships came the announcement from both ship captains. 6 vessels closing fast, all hands to battle stations. Hyunwoo was already moving, his mind processing information faster than Kirith thought possible. He studied the tactical displays, calculated distances and weapon ranges, analyzed enemy formations, but when he spoke to the combined crews of both ships, his plan was not what she expected. We can disable their engines without breaking their life support systems, he explained, pointing to weak spots on the enemy ship designs. If they surrender after that, they live. If they keep fighting, then we defend ourselves. But we give them the choice. Captain Veltros looked confused. You would show mercy to HFY raiders? I would show them what it means to be better than they are, Hyunwoo replied. We fight to protect, not to destroy. The battle that followed was unlike anything Kirith had ever seen or heard about. Human tactical knowledge combined with Velthari, technology in ways that neither species had thought possible, weapons designed to disable rather than kill, strategies that sought to end the fight quickly with minimum loss of life. When it was over, 4 of the 6 HFY ships had surrendered. The other 2 had chosen to fight to the end. But even then, the combined human Velthari force had tried to save as many lives as possible. Kirith realized she was watching something new being born. A way of fighting that kept the warriors' strength but added the protectors' wisdom. And it had all come from understanding that humans were not the monsters the galaxy believed them to be. After the battle with the HFY raiders, both ships needed major repairs. Systems had been damaged, and many parts needed to be rebuilt or replaced. This meant that for the first time, humans and Velthari had to work together closely for many days. Kirith found herself assigned to work with Hyunwoo on fixing the communication systems. At first, she was nervous about spending so much time with him. But as the days passed, something unexpected happened. They became friends. It started when Hyunwoo asked her about the beautiful patterns that flowed across the walls of the Velthari ship. The living walls changed colors and shapes in ways that seemed almost like music made visible. It's bio-neural art, Kirith explained, running her hand along a section of wall that glowed with soft purple and gold spirals. Our ships are alive, and they express emotions through color and pattern. This section is happy because the repairs are going well. Hyunwoo watched in amazement as the patterns shifted and danced. Can you teach me to read them? Humans can't see all the colors we use, Kirith said. Your eyes are different from ours. But I can learn what the patterns mean, right? Even if I can't see everything. So Kirith taught him. She showed him how the flowing spirals meant contentment, how sharp angles meant danger or anger, how the speed of the changes showed how strongly the ship was feeling something. Hyunwoo learned quickly, asking good questions and remembering everything she told him. In return, He shared something from his own culture. One evening, as they worked late calibrating a new communications array, he began reciting words in his own language. The translator turned them into something Kirith could understand, but even in translation, they were beautiful. "What is that?" she asked. "Poetry," Hyunwoo said. "From my world. This one is about a flower that grows in the mountains, where the conditions are harsh but the flower still blooms every spring." The words spoke of strength and hope, of continuing to grow even when everything around you was difficult. Kirith's empathic abilities let her feel the emotions behind the words, and they touched something deep in her heart. "Your people write about such beautiful things," she said, "but the galaxy only knows about your wars." Hyunwoo smiled sadly. "Fear makes people see monsters," he said. "We learned that about ourselves long ago. When humans first met other species, we were afraid too. We saw threats everywhere, even when there weren't any. Sometimes the monster is real, but sometimes it's just someone different who's trying to protect what they love. Is that what happened with us? With the Velthari? Maybe. Your people are peaceful, but you're also very advanced. That can be scary to others. And we humans, we look like warriors even when we're trying to be gentle." As they worked together, Kirith began to understand that friendship could exist between any two people, no matter how different they seemed. She taught Hyunwoo about Velthari meditation techniques that helped calm the mind. He showed her human games that made her laugh, something she had never done with a member of another species before. Their growing friendship was tested when a desperate message reached both ships. It came from New Sol Station, a mixed-species colony on the edge of human space. The message was broken and full of static, but the meaning was clear. They were under attack and needed help. Captain Veltros called a meeting of both crews. The Velthari captain was tired and wanted to go home. They had already done more than their duty required by helping the humans fix their ship and fight off the raiders. "We are not soldiers," he said to his crew. "We are scientists and researchers. We have families waiting for us. This is not our fight." Most of the Velthari crew agreed. They had been away from home for months, and the recent battles had been frightening. They just wanted to return to their peaceful world. But Hyunwoo stood up and asked to speak. Kirith translated his words as he talked about the people on New Sol Station. "Minji is 7 years old," he said quietly. "Donghyun is her older brother, maybe 10. Their parents run a small hydroponic farm on level 7 of the station. They grow vegetables for the community kitchen." He paused, and Kirith could feel the emotion in his voice even through the translation. The raiders attacking them don't care about politics or territory. They don't want to negotiate or make deals. They just want to hurt people who can't fight back. They want to take everything these families have worked for and destroy what they can't take. The room was quiet. Kirith looked around at her crewmates and saw them thinking about what Hyunwoo had said. Then, to her own surprise, Kirith found herself standing up beside him. "We can't let them die," she said to her captain. "If we have the power to help, and we don't use it, what makes us different from the ones attacking them?" Her words surprised everyone, including herself. A few weeks ago she had been terrified of humans. Now she was standing with one, arguing that they should risk their lives to save strangers. Captain Veltros looked at her for a long moment. Then he looked at the faces of his crew. Finally he nodded. "Very well. We will help." The rescue mission that followed used the best of both species' abilities. Velthari stealth technology made their approach invisible to enemy sensors. Human tactical knowledge guided them through the enemy formation like a knife through water. During the boarding action to retake the station, Kirith's empathic abilities saved Hyunwoo's life. She felt the hostile emotions of hidden enemies and warned him just in time to avoid an ambush. As they fought side by side to protect innocent people, Kirith finally understood what Hyunwoo had been trying to teach her. Courage wasn't the absence of fear. It was doing what needed to be done despite the fear. 5 years had passed since that frightening day when Kirith first saw human soldiers board her ship. Now she stood in the Great Hall of the Galactic Council, looking out at representatives from dozens of different species. Her skin glowed with confidence, a steady golden color that showed she was no longer the scared young scientist she had once been. She was Dr. Kireth Velsen now, one of the galaxy's leading experts on interspecies psychology. The paper she was presenting today would change how the entire galaxy thought about humans. For too long we have seen humans as monsters, she said, her voice carrying clearly through the translation systems. We believed they were violent creatures who solved every problem with weapons and force. We were wrong. In the audience, she could see many species who still looked nervous when she mentioned humans. The Kethvar ambassador shifted uncomfortably in his seat. The Zephyrian delegate kept his four eyes focused on the table instead of looking at her. I have lived among humans, Kireth continued. I have worked with them, fought beside them, and learned from them. What I discovered is this. Humans are not monsters. They are gardeners who learned to be warriors because someone had to tend the garden. She activated a holographic display showing images from the joint research station where she now worked. Humans and Velthari working side by side. Children of different species playing together. Scientists from a dozen worlds sharing knowledge and discoveries. Their strength does not come from a love of violence, she explained. It comes from an unwavering commitment to protect those who cannot protect themselves. When a human fights, it is not because they enjoy hurting others. It is because they would rather be hurt themselves than let innocent people suffer. In the audience, Colonel Hyunwoo Park smiled with pride. He had changed too over the years. No longer just a soldier, he had become something new, a bridge between different worlds. His job now was to help other species understand humans, and to help humans understand the galaxy they were part of. He had developed new protocols for first contact situations, rules that would prevent the kind of fear and misunderstanding that had once nearly kept humans and Velthari from becoming friends. His work had already helped dozens of species make peaceful contact with human colonies. After Kireth finished her presentation, she returned to the research station called Harmony. It orbited in the space between human and Velthari territory, a symbol of what could be achieved when different species worked together. The station was like nothing that had ever existed before. Human engineering combined with Velthari biotechnology had created a living structure that could grow and adapt to the needs of its inhabitants. The walls glowed with the same beautiful patterns Kireth had once taught Hyunwoo to read, but now they carried messages in dozens of different languages. Young humans learned Velthari meditation techniques that helped them control their emotions and think more clearly. Velthari students studied human tactical philosophy, learning how to make quick decisions under pressure and protect others even when afraid. Scientists from many worlds worked on projects that would have been impossible for any single species. They were developing new medical techniques, better ways to grow food in space, and communication systems that could translate not just words, but emotions and intentions. Kireth often spent her evenings on the observation deck, watching the stars, and thinking about how much had changed. Tonight she was not alone. A group of children from the station's school had come to play in the large open space. She watched them run and laugh together. Human children with their quick movements and loud voices, Velthari youngsters glowing with happiness, and children from other species she was still learning about. Their laughter needed no translation. Joy was joy no matter what species felt it. A young Velthari child approached her. This little one had been born on the station and had grown up around humans all her life. She had never known the fear that had once made Kireth hide behind walls. Elder Kireth, the child said in perfect standard Galactic, the common language used throughout the station. Is it really true that you were scared of humans once? Kireth smiled, her skin shifting to the warm gold color that meant contentment and joy. Very scared, she admitted. I thought they were monsters who wanted to hurt everyone who was different from them. But they're not monsters, the child said, stating what was obvious to her. Jinwoo helped me fix my science project yesterday, and Sujin teaches the best songs in music class. No, they're not monsters, Kireth agreed. But then I met a human who taught me something very important. He showed me that the most powerful force in the universe is not weapons or fear, or even great strength. What is it? The child asked, her eyes wide with curiosity. Understanding, Kireth replied. She pointed to the children playing below them, humans and Velthari and many others all together as friends. The willingness to see past what makes us different and find what makes us the same. As the station's artificial day cycle began to dim toward evening, Kirith received a message through the bio-neural network. Hyunwoo would be visiting next week with a new class of diplomatic students, humans who were learning to see the galaxy through gentler eyes, just as she had learned to see humanity through clearer ones. The future stretched ahead of them, bright with possibilities that neither humans nor Velthari could have imagined when they were still strangers to each other. And it had all started with one scared scientist and one kind soldier who chose to see past their fears to the person on the other side.